It often begins in the late afternoon, that in-between hour when the light outside the window turns the color of soft honey and the whole house seems to pause. You stand at the sink or sit by the familiar chair, and you notice, not the silence itself, but the way it settles on you. Like a shawl you never remember putting on, but somehow you've been wearing for years. This is the part of life no one prepares you for. When the world becomes quieter, not because it has stopped speaking, but because you have fewer people to hear it with. And in that golden quiet, a truth emerges gently, almost shyly. Living alone in later life is not just solitude. It's a kind of second adolescence, full of discoveries, uncertainties, and invisible rites of passage. Only those who have lived alone for a long time understand how the smallest things, a mug resting quietly on the table, a blanket folded just the way you left it, a lamp that flickers on with a gentle hum, begin to feel like familiar companions. Not in a mystical sense, but in the way a place becomes a kind of witness when there are no other eyes around. You start to notice that your life leaves traces, tiny signatures of presence that only you would recognize. The ring your coffee cup leaves on the coaster, the indentation in the cushion that fits your body exactly, the book that stays open to the page where you paused the night before. Each object becomes a small testament. I was here. I lived this moment. I touched this day. There's a quiet mercy in that. A well-worn teacup can feel like a friend waiting patiently for conversation, holding the warmth of your hands long after the tea has cooled. A blanket draped over your shoulders remembers the shivers, the midnight worries, the long exhale after a day that asked too much of you. These things don't respond, but they don't leave either. And in a world where people sometimes drift away, by choice, by circumstance, or by the slow passing of time, that kind of loyalty has a sweetness all its own. When you live alone, you start to discover that comfort doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides in the familiar creak of a favorite chair, or the quiet glow of a lamp that has outlived its original purpose, but not its meaning. To someone else, these objects might look ordinary. To you, they are the gentle architecture of your days. And here's the part no one tells you. It's not a sign of loneliness to feel tenderness toward the things around you. It's a sign that you've learned how to make companionship out of presence, how to find steadiness in what remains, how to allow the world, even the small, inanimate corners of it, to hold you softly when human voices grow scarce. It's not loneliness. It's recognition. The sense that something in your home remembers you, that your life has left echoes that do not fade, and in a life lived largely in quiet, that recognition can feel like a kind of gentle, everyday grace. There are moments, often unexpected, when a memory rises like a small ripple in still water. Maybe it's a familiar song drifting from a passing car, or the smell of rain hitting warm pavement, or a phrase someone once used that no one uses anymore. Suddenly, a scene from long ago unfolds with surprising clarity. The sound of someone's laughter echoing down a hallway, the gentle fussing of a partner humming off-key while searching for their keys, the quiet rhythm of footsteps you always recognized without needing to look up. For a heartbeat, you turn to share it, to say, "Do you remember that?" To laugh at the same old story, to enjoy the comfort of someone knowing exactly what you mean. And then the moment shifts. A soft, almost imperceptible ache settles in when you remember that there is no one in the next room to receive it. This is a truth many seniors who live alone understand intimately. Memories grow heavier when there is no one left to hold them with you. They gather in the corners of your mind like unopened letters from a time when your life was more crowded, with people, with voices, with shared histories. Each memory addressed to someone who can no longer reply, their name still written in handwriting you can't bring yourself to forget. It is not sorrow exactly, more like the tenderness of holding something fragile, knowing it has survived only because you kept it alive inside you. Seneca once wrote that, Things that were hard to bear are sweet to remember. And perhaps that is true. But he didn't speak about the complexity. The way sweetness can deepen into something bittersweet when the person who once shared the memory is no longer here to nod, to smile, to say, "Yes, I remember too." These moments can feel strangely suspended in time, too precious to let go, too heavy to carry alone. But here is the quiet dignity in it. To remember is to love in the past tense, yet still love. To recall is to honor. To feel is to continue the story, even when you are the only one left who knows the beginning. And sometimes these memories, though unshared, become small lanterns you carry inside, lighting the path back to who you once were, and who you still are. They are the proof that your life has been full, full enough to echo long after the voices have faded, and even if no one is there to hear them, those echoes still belong to you, and that quietly, courageously, is enough. There is a certain steady pride that comes with handling life on your own. The simple triumph of opening a stubborn jar, the familiar rhythm of paying bills in your own handwriting, the quiet satisfaction of fixing the lamp that flickers, or arranging a chair just the way your back prefers it. These are not small victories. They are reminders, sometimes the only reminders, that you are still capable, still resourceful, still woven into the world through your own hands. But independence has a second shape, one that is harder to speak of. It asks for more of you than it does from others. It asks you to think ahead, to double-check the stovetop, to make sure someone knows where your spare key is, to keep medicines organized and numbers written in large enough print for the days when eyesight feels like an unreliable narrator. It requires you to be your own backup plan, your own helper, your own gentle voice, saying, "I've got you, don't worry." And that is a strange position to live in, to be both the person with needs and the only person available to meet them. Most people take comfort in having someone to lean on, even a little. But seniors who live alone know the deeper truth. Being strong because you must is not the same as being strong because you choose to. The world may call it resilience, but you know it's more complicated. It's not just grit. It's not stubbornness. It's not denial. It's a kind of quiet arrangement with yourself, an inner contract you renew each morning. I will get through the day. I will do my best. I will take care of the life that is mine to carry. No applause, no audience, just the soft, persistent courage of showing up to a life that asks you to be both captain and crew. And yet, you do it. You rise from bed. You navigate your routines. You make meals, answer phone calls, lock doors, and find ways to keep your days stitched together. You do it, not because it's easy, but because living has always required a measure of bravery, and you learned long ago how to draw on it quietly. This is heroism without the word hero, a strength that doesn't boast, a dignity that doesn't need recognition, yet deserves it all the same. Every day you choose to keep going, to stay engaged with your life, to hold both the pride and the burden with the same steady hands. And that choice, repeated over time, becomes a kind of everyday courage that only those who live it truly understand. When you live alone later in life, time loosens its grip. It stops marching. It begins to drift. The morning hours stretch like a long, slow yawn. You sip your coffee, look out the window, watch the same patch of sunlight move across the floor with a patience that feels almost tender. And then the evenings. They arrive quickly, abruptly, as though the day slipped through your fingers while you were simply trying to live it. Holidays no longer announce themselves with noise and anticipation. They appear quietly, like a polite guest tapping at the door, easy to miss if you're not listening for them. Some of them pass with the faintest ripple, a card, a phone call, a memory that visits for a moment, then carries itself away. When you live alone, there is no one else's footsteps weaving through your hours, no one else's habits shaping the tempo of your days, no one waiting in the kitchen to ask how you slept, no one to say, Let's take a walk before the sun goes down. There is a subtle, strange freedom in that. A life set to your own internal metronome. But freedom without companionship can make a day feel spacious in ways that echo. Walking through your home becomes a journey in time. This room holds morning light. That room carries the hush of evening. Another still keeps the shadows of years past like a soft, private museum. Some people call this existential, a word that sounds heavy, but really just means you're noticing what it feels like to be alive from the inside of your own experience. It's not a crisis. It's not a problem to be fixed. It's simply human. The mind stretching its limbs in the quiet space that aging and solitude create. And in that quiet, time becomes less a schedule and more a landscape you move through at your own pace. People often imagine that living alone in older age means withdrawing, receding, becoming smaller. But those who actually live this life know a different truth altogether. You've learned the art of tending to your own heart, not out of fragility, but out of wisdom. It takes strength to acknowledge sadness without letting it swallow the whole day. It takes resilience to feel longing without letting it harden you. It takes courage to let joy in without worrying when it will leave. You've learned to savor small pleasures with the attentiveness of someone who understands that the ordinary is not ordinary at all. The warmth of sunlight on your back, the crisp first bite of an apple, the soft hum of a familiar song drifting through the room. These moments, small as they seem, are acts of care, proof that your heart has not closed itself just because life has grown quieter. People see softness as vulnerability, but they overlook the truth. Softness is what remains after you've survived everything meant to harden you. You have lived through losses, through changes in your body, through years when the world felt too fast to keep up with, and years when it felt too slow to bear. Yet here you are, still capable of gentleness, still open to beauty, still able to feel deeply without apologizing for it. Living alone has taught you that your inner life is not something to fear. It's a place you know how to navigate with sensitivity and depth. Softness is not weakness. It is the quiet, enduring strength of someone who has seen life in its rawness and still chooses to meet each day with presence, with curiosity, with care. It is wisdom, the kind that cannot be taught, only lived. So if you're a senior living alone or someone who loves one, here's the truth beneath all these truths. You are not invisible. Your days are not small. Your quiet is not empty. You carry a life made of stories that still matter, memories that still breathe, and wisdom shaped not by textbooks, but by years of showing up to yourself, even when no one else could.